Hi, I'm Dr. Francis. I'm a world-renowned wildlife nutritionist. You may not have heard of me, but your turkey sure has. So let's talk about what not to feed your dog and cat today. If you were to search on Google what not to feed your dog or cat or what is toxic, you will find huge lists. 10 to 20 different items and saying, do not feed this to your pet. It's really, really dangerous. Some of these are absolutely true and you should listen for sure. Never feed these to your dogs and cats. But half of them actually are quite safe and even quite good for your dog and cat. So we're here to set the record straight. So let's talk about 5 foods really to never feed your pet. The first thing, never to feed your pet, grapes or raisins. This is on the top of all of the lists and it's absolutely true. Even a little amount of fresh, frozen, dried grapes or raisins can cause renal failure in your pet. You want to stay clear of any kind of food that has even a little bit, even stuff like balsamic vinegar, which you wouldn't consider that actually has grapes inside. But then again, why would you feed balsamic vinegar to your pet? Number 2, you never want to feed your pet is chocolate. Now everyone has a friend that said, oh, well, actually my friend's dog ate some chocolate bags and he's fine. Well, that doesn't mean chocolate is good. It means your friend is lucky. It means your friend is lucky that he was feeding cheap chocolate, because cheap chocolate is mostly very little actual chocolate, very little cocoa, and a lot of cocoa butter, and a lot probably of milk and sugar. So there's actually very little of this toxic compound, theobromine, that's found in milk chocolate. Whereas if you were feeding this high quality, fancy, 90% black chocolate, the story may have turned out a little bit different. So just in case, just to be sure, avoid all kinds of chocolate, especially cocoa for your dog and cat. The third thing you never want to feed your pet, and you will not find this on the very popular list of toxic food things, moist or semi-moist pet treats. These are the treats you can find in every pet shop in the world in their resealable bags. When you touch them, they're squishy, you may have some oily residue, and they smell like fake bacon, or a smell that's just not quite right because it's chemically added. There's little to no regulations about pet treats, which is why they can almost add in whatever they want without having to follow strict protocols on nutrition quality, ingredient quality, or anything else. That's also why you have a lot of pet food recalls on these treats that find contaminants, that find preservatives, stuff like propylene glycol, ethoxyquin, BHA, BHT, things that are proven to have some deleterious health effects in your dog and cat. You're better off giving a healthy treat or a natural treat instead of this squishy, chemical-filled treat for your dog or cat. The fourth thing you never want to feed your pet are onions or things in the allium family. This, again, will be on every list that you read, and it's absolutely true. A little bit of onions, chives, spring onions. These are very toxic for your dog and cat. You want to make sure they are never, ever in any ingredient, any spices, any herbs, any food that you were to feed your pet. So if you're giving them some of your table scraps, make sure they were not cooked with any onions. And the fifth and last thing you never want to feed your dog or cat is a bit of a controversial one, okay? Milk. You do not want to feed cow's milk to your dog or cat. If you were to find some dog milk or some cat milk, well, that's one thing. But giving cow's milk to a dog or cat, especially if they're an adult, well, that's a bit weird, isn't it? We all have the idea in our head of like puppies, and especially cats, licking saucers of milk. Well, we now know enough about the effects of milk that it's not something you want to give all the time, or ever, really. Cow's milk is really high in lactose, and our dogs or cats, especially the adults, are highly lactose intolerant. And they've been shown to have very bad effects on gut health long term. You don't want to feed this regularly or ever. If you do want to feed some milk, or if you feel like you want to give your dog or cat a treat and you know they like milk, consider goat's milk, because this has lower lactose. If you can afford it, try something organic, because then you have less chance of there being antibiotics or being any other nasty things in these dairy products. Giving some cheese has the similar health risks, things that we don't recommend. If you were to give yogurt or kefir, now this is a bit different because this has been fermented, has high amounts of probiotics, proven to be good for your dog or cat's gut, and they're little to no lactose, which means you probably won't have explosive diarrhea after you give them a little bit of milk. Make sure you subscribe below, like this video. Please comment. I would love to read some of your questions. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else that we are at PetCubes. Bye-bye.